بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. For all who are in attendance and those who are watching and or listening online in different time zones, different continents, different countries, those who are Muslim and those who aren't Muslim, I welcome each and every one of you. And I say that hopefully our discussion slash lecture slash class slash conversation will be fruitful to each and every one of us with regards to a very important topic. A topic that isn't exclusive to Muslims. It isn't something that is just bothersome or troublesome or important to Muslims. Rather, non-Muslims as well, regardless of their religious orientation, regardless of their spirituality, and or regardless if there is a non-Muslim who has no religion and no type of spirituality, whatever name or title a person gives themselves. A person says, I'm spiritual, but I don't follow a form of religion. Others who may say, I have no religion, whether I'm atheist or agnostic or whatever the case may be. But most people today, especially young people, and those who aren't so young, they suffer from this issue. And that is marriage versus career, career versus marriage. Rather, instead we say, it's actually three pieces involved, trifold, which should have been on the flyer. Education, career, marriage, education. And there are three different entities, three different worlds. Education is not career, career is not education. A person could have career, and we have marriage. Whether you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, many people, they suffer from this battle. What comes first? Or, even deeper than that, should I even get married? Why should I get married? Do I have to get married? I can live by myself. I don't have to have a girlfriend or boyfriend or do something which is impermissible in my religion. I can live by myself. I can live a celibate lifestyle. That's fine. I'm busy with my education. I'm busy with my career. Vice versa. So therefore, before we get into the specifics of this lecture and some of the ideas that I've jotted down and some of the things that I want to hear from you guys, I want to hear what you have to say, what you think and feel and know. We have to remind ourselves with what is considered to be Ad-Dastur al-A'zam. It's the greatest amendment. It is the strongest pillar of our constitution as Muslims. And that is what Allah says in the glorious Quran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. Allah says that which is rendered into English, the meanings, it says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O believers, O faithful, O Muslims, أطيعوا الله, obey Allah, وأطيعوا الرسول, and obey the apostle of Allah, the messenger, وأولي الأمر منكم, and those who are leaders, chieftains, scholars, those who are in charge, who are in authority from among you, i.e., absolute obedience to Allah, absolute obedience to His messenger, limited, restricted, conditional, seasonal obedience to leaders in authority. Listen carefully. Allah mentioned the word ati'u, obey, twice. But He mentioned three people, quote unquote, or three categories of those who are to be obeyed. So something isn't adding up now. We have the command to obey twice, and we have the one who is to be obeyed three. So there's something wrong with the mathematical equation. Basic math. 3, 2, 2, 3. They don't match up. They don't match up. If I gave you two chords or three, something's wrong. Right or wrong? Something's wrong. of Allah, then the word ati'u, obey, isn't mentioned the third time. It isn't mentioned the third time. وَأُولُو الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, and those who are leaders from among you. So what does that mean? The balagha of the Quran in this verse is that obedience to Allah is absolute. Obedience to the Messenger of Allah is absolute. Obedience to leaders, scholars, rulers, parents is seasonal. It's subjective. It's conditional. There's no absolute obedience to your parents. There's no absolute obedience to your king or president or prime minister. There's no absolute obedience to a scholar or a leader or a mufti or a qadi. But at a certain time, a certain place, a certain situation or circumstance, there's obedience that has to be shown to these people. You understand this? Allah, He then says, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, and if you differ on anything, what should we do or what shouldn't we do? Should I get married first? Should I finish my degree first? Should I pursue my career first? If you differ on anything, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, anything, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ, then take it back to Allah and His Messenger. And it doesn't say take it back to scholars or rulers or kings. Take it back to Allah and His Messenger. Why? Is this an option? Is this a choice? إِن كُنْتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, if you are truly believers, if you're real believers in Allah and in the last day. And not only is that your obligation and your duty, but Allah tells us the benefit of doing so and the fruit of doing so. ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. Allah says that is better immediately and eventually. That is better now and then. That's better, and it's a more thorough final determination. That's best for you in this world and also in the hereafter. ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. At the end, when you grow old, you grow weak, your teeth fall out, your hair becomes gray, your hair falls out, you get cancer or diabetes, whatever the sickness or disease most people get today because of the things that they eat, the things that they do, and all other problems that we have in our modern world, you'll be happy and thankful that I didn't listen to my friend. I didn't listen to my father. I didn't listen to my teacher. I didn't listen to this one, but I took it back to Allah and His Messenger. I'm happy that I put forth my career, or I put forth my education, or I put forth getting married, or I put forth having children. Whatever decision that you make. ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. That's best. Now and then. Everyone understand this? Now and then. Allah says in the next verse, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ يَزْعُمُونَ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ يُرِيدُونَ أَن يَتَحَكَمُوا إِلَى الطَّاغُوتِ. Allah says, have you not seen? Are you not amazed? Don't you find it hypocritical? Don't you find it strange and weird, marvelous? Those who claim to believe in Allah, they claim to believe in that which has been sent down. I'm a Muslim, I believe in the Quran. They claim to follow the Messenger of Allah, and they wish to find judgment in other than Muhammad's judgment. They wish to put forth this, that, or whatever else comes before Allah and His Messenger. So when we talk about getting married first, when we talk about following our career first, pursuing a career, finishing our education, we have to go back to Allah and His Messenger. And there are two ways of doing that. Two avenues, two routes. Number one, the specific rulings. The specific detailed rulings. We have a specific text that Allah says, get married first. Or the Quran says, get your education first. Or the Hadith tells us, pursue your career first. Whatever decision it is. And if we don't have a specific ruling in the Quran and the Sunnah, then we have general principles. General principles upon which we proceed. And these general principles allow Islam to become universal and timeless. And never ever to be rigid and frozen and stuck. Any time, any place, any culture, because we always have general principles. We always have general principles. And a capital mistake that many people make when they talk about Islam, whatever is the topic of discussion, marriage in Islam, whatever you wish to talk about, in light of Al-Islam, they make a mistake. Rather, they make many mistakes. And one of the most capital mistakes that they make is that they put forth the general principle or the general concept in front of the specific ruling. It's a specific ruling. So when he says, I'm going to take, it's just an example, we're not discussing this, it's just an example, interest or usury, riba. It's permissible for me to take riba or go to school on riba or build a house on riba or whatever it is, riba. Because I'm not trying to get greedy. I'm not trying to make extra money. I'm just trying to survive. My family, my children, we need a place to stay. I need a business. So therefore, I'm not being greedy like, those people who just oppress the wrong and they wrong the weak people, take their money. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So therefore, it's okay. And Allah Azza wa Jalla clearly tells us there's no hardship in the deen. وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ haraj. There's no haraj upon us. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ Allah wants ease for you. These are general principles which are acceptable, but not in light of specific texts. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah says, and Allah has made buying and selling lawful. Trading is lawful. Commerce is lawful. Buy and sell what you want. Invest what you want. Get money. Earn money. وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. And He has made riba haram. So you can't take a general principle and put it in front of a specific text. And many Muslims, they do this. And not just layman Muslims that go to school, Muslims in the MSA, doctors, sheikhs, thinkers, reformists, they make this capital mistake. It's okay to do this because of the general concept. There's no hardship in the religion. Allah wants ease for us. Muslims are supposed to be kind to everyone, so on and so forth. And they put it in front of the clear text of Quran and Sunnah. So that's wrong. So therefore, what should we do? The first place that we should look is the Quran. The first place that we should look is the Sunnah and or give or take. And then we can start our discussion with regards to getting married first, pursuing a career first, finishing our education first, etc., etc. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So therefore, with that being laid down, the tafsir of those verses, let's now proceed with the structure of our lecture. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, before we go further, we've done a few very, very, very important lectures on some of these topics, such as marriage. We've done a very detailed discussion of getting married in al-Islam. That pertains to a college student or other than a college student. So please go back to that video that we've done on our channel, HadithDisciple, and we have discussed marriage in detail. The do's and don'ts of finding a wife, of finding a husband, and also those who are married. Secondly, we've done another lecture with regards to Islam versus culture. Culture versus Islam. We did this at another MSA, I believe it was in the Bronx, Lehman College, if I'm not mistaken. You can find it, Islam versus culture. Very important concept with regards to this discussion. Because there are cultural norms that are going to dominate and make the policy. You have to get married first because of culture. You have to finish your degree first because of culture. You have to pursue your career first because of culture, regardless of what you need or what's best for you. And obviously that's problematic. So which comes first? Is it Islam first? Culture, Islam? Please go back to that detailed lecture. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. Let's move forward. Before we go on, we have to understand that there are several different dimensions of this discussion. Several dimensions. First and foremost is that we have the sides. We have the proponents and the opponents. There are those who take an absolute stance. And they say, no doubt about it, education comes first. Period. And then there are others who say, no, marriage must come first. Period. Or career must come first. No detail whatsoever. And perhaps we'll have a few individuals in the middle who will say, there is no ready-made suit. But you have to go to the tailor. And he has to measure shoulder to shoulder, fingertips to shoulder, hip to hip, neck, length. He has to measure you and look, what color will go good? You need this color tie. And these shoes, take those shoes off, they're no good. Get this type of shoe. And pinstripe or polka dot or whatever the case may be. And suit the suit to you as a person. What type of event are you going to? Are you going to a wedding, a funeral, a business suit, a job interview? What are you doing? Where are you going? That will determine what color tie you get. Pink tie, purple tie, red tie, etc. Blue, black, wahakala. And there is no one size fits all. Some Muslims need to finish their education. Some Muslims, no doubt, cannot finish their education. They have to get married. And some Muslims can pursue a career, education, and marriage simultaneously, all in one. Are we understanding this? So we have three different sides, or if you want to say two sides. Marriage first, absolutely. Career / education first, absolutely. And perhaps we may have a few balanced people, thinkers of Islam, thinkers of the dunya, people who actually use their minds critically and say it depends on the situation. If you ask me, I'll say no. You need to finish school. You got to get married. Well, how can that? Depending on the what? On the situation. Everyone understand this? So that's first and foremost. Secondly is it depends on what do you mean by education and career, and what do you mean by marriage? What type of sister are you looking for? Is the sister that you're looking for, or that you're in love with, or that you have a crush on, or you're talking with and chatting with, is she supportive of your career? Does she want to have children? If so, when? What type of family does she come from? How much of Islam does she know? What type of religion is she upon? What is her devotion to the religion? Well, how can that? What type of Muslim are you? What type of Muslim do you aspire to be? You want to be a 9-to-5 Muslim? You want to get more knowledge? You want to do better? You want to do good? It depends on what you mean by marriage, who you're getting married to. If you say, Sister Fulana, so-and-so, is the sister that I want to get married to, I say, that's right. Get married to her and finish the degree at the same time. But then I have another sister from another place, another college, another town. She's older, she's younger. This is what she wants to be. I say, no. You being married to her and finishing your education and career will not work. Water and oil. Everyone understand this? Also, what is your career that you're seeking? There's some careers in which it's best to be married. You need the support. You need the love. You need the tender love and care. You need the emotion. You need someone behind you. You everyone understand this? And there are other careers which are very demanding, very stingy, very selfish, and which is not enough room for both. You either take this or sacrifice that. Everyone understand this? So it depends on who's the brother you're trying to marry. Who's the sister that you're trying to marry, and what is the career or education that you're trying and attempting to what? To pursue. Everyone understand this? Another very important point is that, as I said with regards to the tailor-made suit, it's not about your parents, or it's not about a YouTube speaker or Islamic personality, because your parents are not going to be with you when you're alone, when you make your choices. They're not going to be with you when you drop out of school. They're not going to be with you when you get married, when you're happy, when you're sad. They're not going to be with you when you've made your decisions. So you have to make the decisions which are good for you, and only you. Sacrificing some happiness for your parents' good pleasure is one thing. Sacrificing some extra things to make your father happy, that's one thing. But to make a poor decision just because of your parents, or a scholar, or a teacher, that's something that we strongly advise against. Because they're now going to have to deal with the sadness and the misery and the depression that you suffer from after you scratch your head and say, wow, subhanAllah, I can't believe I just did that. What was I thinking? And your father and your mother, they'll be asleep in their comfortable bed at night. This YouTube speaker will be speaking at another venue. This friend or this person won't contact you anymore. And you have to live with the decisions that you made, good or bad. So which one you should do, you get advice, you go back to the Quran and Sunnah, you look at experience, you take people's counsel, but at the end of the day, the decision must be made with only one person in mind, and that is your benefit. The benefit of the deen and the benefit of the dunya. Everyone understand this? I cannot express in words how important this is. A decision that you're unsure of, that's one thing. I'm going to go with what my friend tells me. I'm going to listen to my mother. I'm going to take the advice of my father. That's one thing. But you know in your heart it is a poor decision. You don't make that decision to please someone. And one of the reasons why you don't is because you and only you will live with your good or bad decisions. No one else. So I'm telling you from life experience. From life experience. You do well, the people will clap their hands and they will applaud you. Great job, son. You fail, even though it was because of their poor advice. They'll say, well, you should have done it differently. And I never told you to do that. I told you to, do it like this. No one will accept and fess up for horrible advice that they give you that you act upon. So don't forget that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moving forward. Another very important concept or dimension of this topic is we have individual education, individual career pursuit versus education/career, which is a benefit to the Muslims as a whole. Which is a benefit to the Muslims as a whole. So the degree that you're getting right now, who is it going to help? Initially, it's supposed to help you. But is it only a benefit to you, or is it a benefit to your neighbors, your family members, your community, the people that you live amongst? Is it going to help them? Or is it specific and exclusive to you? or vice versa. We all know that the Prophet ﷺ, in the authentic Hadith, he would seek Allah's refuge from four things, four evil things. And from them he would say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. Oh Allah, protect me from knowledge which is of no use. Protect me from knowledge which is of no use. And this hadith is not talking about worldly knowledge or secular knowledge. It's talking about knowledge of the deen. You learn the Quran, you learn the hadiths, but you're still a sinner. You're still an evildoer. You're still lazy and lethargic. It doesn't help you that you've memorized it. But there lies no doubt, this can be generally applied to other things as well. You may spend 4 years out of your life, 6 years out of your life, 2 years out of your life, seeking a degree which isn't that practical. How many people get employed after they graduate from this school or this degree? How many people are outside on the market? It's flooded and inflated. There's 100 people in front of you with their applications waiting to get that position. What's the chances of you getting a job? There is a very tough and competitive world out there. Even though you have the degree from the university, how much experience do you have? Will you work 2 years for free? Will you work 5 years getting paid a minimum salary until you gain your experience? Are we understand this? So oftentimes, because of our parents, or because of our friends, or sometimes because of our poor decisions, we pursue education which isn't beneficial. It isn't practical. Getting a degree just to please your mother and you have other means of income, alhamdulillah, labas. But now you're expected to live on your own, rent an apartment, get a house, get a car, raise a family, and I can't find work. I can't find a job. No one wants to hire me because there are 500 other people with the same degree. Or there are people that are ahead of me who are older and more experienced, and that's a major problem that many people in school make. They seek knowledge which is just theoretical, and it has no practical value. Everyone understand this? So you have to make sure that you're pursuing the education and or the career which is a benefit to yourself and to others. And if it isn't a benefit to others, that's fine. But make sure it's a benefit for yourself. Everyone understand this? Because you may push back marriage. You may push back seeking knowledge of the religion for something which you're really not even going to hold on to in the real world. Khair, inshallah. Moving forward. We have to understand that in general, the general theme of Islam is the encouragement to get married. Regardless of the situation, regardless of the atmosphere and the environment. The general instruction of Islam is for young people to get married. As the Prophet ﷺ tells in the famous hadith, he says, يَا مَعْشَرَ الشَّبَابِ مَنْ اسْتَطَاعَ مِنْكُمُ الْبَاءَةَ فَلْيَتَزَوَّجْ فَإِنَّهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ وَأَحْصَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وِجَاهٌ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Hadith says, "O assembly of youth." This is advice to everyone. But the Prophet is speaking directly to you, young people. Get married if you can do so. And look at how the Prophet spoke and thought and how we speak and think. People, they say, don't get married unless you love the person. Don't get married just because you have the urge and the sexual desire. Don't get married just because you think they're a nice person. Don't get married, don't get married, don't get married, don't get married, don't get married. You can't just get married for this one reason. But look at what the Prophet of Islam says. He says, "O assembly of youth, whoever can do so should get married." لِمَاذَا يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ? Why should we, O Messenger of Allah? Why should we get married? Why should we rush to get married and we're young? فَإِنَّهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ وَأَحْصَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. Because it helps you keep your eyes lower. And it keeps your chastity. It protects you. Look at the people today. They say, well, you have a lustful intention. Why can't you shake a woman's hand or shake a man's hand or have a boyfriend or have a girlfriend or sit and talk? Why is your mind always in the gutter? Why are you always thinking about these nasty-based things? There's no such thing as that. You can have a friendly relationship with the opposite sex or with the same sexes. It's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. No one has to be thinking about these things. And if you sit down and you listen to the reports of these people in their media, every single day there's a new scandal. Every day there's a new effort in the witch hunt for he did it to me. He did this. This leader, this owner of this team, this person in this media of inappropriate behavior in the workplace and prostitution and so on and so forth. So the people who say that there's no type of, you don't get married just because of you have desires or it's nothing wrong with this, and that's fine. They themselves are not living and abiding by what they say. Everyone understand this? And that's the clear proof for that. They themselves are not living by what they abide by. And unfortunately, this misinterpretation and misunderstanding of Islam has crept into the minds of Muslim parents. They tell their son, don't get married just because you want to get married. Don't get married just because you're afraid of falling into something haram. And the Prophet says, get married because it does what? Makes you a better person, teaches you responsibility, allows you to... The Prophet said none of those things. He says it keeps your eyes down. And eyes are the gateway to the soul. If you look at anything and everything, your mind, your body, your heart will become polluted and defiled. And that will ruin your studies. That will ruin your career. That will ruin your education. That will ruin you as a person and how you deal with people. وَأَحْسَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. And it protects you and keeps you chaste. Yes, one of the most important objectives of marriage is that. Not like people who don't understand Islam, nor understand the world in which we live. And I've given you the proof for that. The non-Muslims themselves, what they say about scandal and inappropriate behavior. And they say, no, don't get married for anything sexual. That's unrealistic. Islamically and worldly. Does that mean that's the only reason why you get married? No. Did you just get married just to have intercourse? No. No one is ever saying that. There is no responsibility, no maturity. Of course, no intellectual person would ever make that claim. No one says that. But sit down and ask your parents the question, hey, mom or dad or Abby or Ummi, when you got married to Ummi, how old were you? Ask your parents this question. Ask them a hard-nosed question. How old were you, Abby? Did you own the house that we live in now when you got married? How many cars did you have? How much money did you have saved up in the bank? I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times your father is going to smile or stutter or say, get angry, or he's never going to give you a straight answer. So you're expected to get married and everything is perfect and set up. But when he got married and you're the fruit of his marriage with your siblings, your brothers and sisters, that doesn't count. It doesn't make any sense. And the people are not being real in what they say. Everyone understand this? So the general instruction on Islam is that marriage should come first. The general rule. The general rule. But the general rule is not always the specific ruling based off of every single person. Khairan, inshallah. Let's move forward. Another very important point before we get into the two sides of the argument is your primary objective versus your secondary objective. Primary versus secondary. You don't just have to have one objective in life. You don't just have to have one goal in life. I want to get married and I also want to pursue a career. This comes first and that comes second. I want to have children and I want to finish this degree. It doesn't have to be an absolute ultimatum, either this or that. So therefore, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to get married and then afterwards I'm going to finish this. Or I'm going to get this employment and then I'm going to finish this degree. Or afterwards get married. But you have to prioritize what's the most important thing to you. Raising a family, getting married, companionship, halal friendship, protecting yourself, or having a career or having money. Everyone understand this? And anyone who is strategic and tactful, he knows is that a soldier is never sent with just one objective. Never. There are always levels of objectives. Do this first. And if you can do that, then get that too. And don't come back unless you have achieved this as well. But do not come back without the primary objective achieved. But there's never a time in which it's just only one shot and that's it. No. So you have to realize is that you have several goals as a human being, as a Muslim. I want to get married. I want to have a family. I want to be happy. I want to play sports and I want to do this as well. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, if I seek Allah's help and if I manage my time right and I play my cards right, play my hand right, I can do 3 things. But not all at once. Not all at once. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So let's get into the argument of those who say that you should get married first. Let's mention the proofs and the evidences of those who say that it's best to put marriage before career and before education. And before I read what I have, inshallah ta'ala, maybe we'll take some of your opinions or views. What do you guys think or feel? What should come first? Now right now we're not dealing with the middle view of detail. We're not mentioning their rationale. We're only talking about those who are zealots, bigots of one view. Get married first, period. No matter what your degree is, how old you are, no matter what type of problem you have, get married first. What are some of the points that these people will bring up to support their argument and to make it strong? Hold on, who had a hand up? Don't be shy, Akhi. This doesn't mean that you have to believe this now.
Nah, but like.
What do you think they would say?
I thought like it's up to.
I don't want your thought. Once more, listen carefully. I want you to play the advocate. I want you to put yourself in their shoes. How would they think? Even if you totally disagree. Clear? Fadda, go ahead.
That they would think like you should have a career, you should be established.
I need 1 point. 1, 2, we're numbering them off. 1 point. I need 1 point. What would be the point that they would bring up? Why marriage comes first?
Why marriage comes first?
Why marriage comes first, yes.
For someone to hold you down and support you.
Okay, you should get married because the person will support you. Your husband or wife will support you through your career, through your education, which is going to be bumpy and rocky and long and troublesome. Financially, you're going to be stressed. It's a lot to run a business. Any entrepreneur knows how difficult it is to run a small, simple bakery. Listen carefully, guys. Not a huge factory, a small, simple bakery, a small cafe, a small restaurant. If you know how much time and energy and effort is put into that small bakery, the owner is the one who opens it up, who closes it, who mops the floor when someone calls out sick or someone quits. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs, they lose money just to keep their business open. They lose money. It's tough running a business, let alone you want to have a grand place that you're running. It's not easy. So why not have a husband in your corner? Why not have a wife in your corner? You go home at night, I had a very stressful day. I lost a lot of money. This person slipped and fell. They sued us, so on and so forth. And that person can relieve the stress from you and help you out and support you. And we know that successful people, they have to have support. So that's point number 1. Point number 2.
There's no problem in the dunya that's worse than falling into zina, for example.
Nothing in the worldly life could be worse than you losing your religion. You fall into zina, and there's a big chance that you'll lose your religion. So protect yourself before you gain something, before you wreck yourself, as they say. It's a statement of wisdom. It's a statement of wisdom. There's no doubt about that. Protect yourself before you wreck yourself. It's a real statement. Tell you. Okay, point number 3. Anybody else? The floor is open for everyone. Fadil Akhi.
A lot of people, they don't get married young because they think they need money to get married, but Allah tells us marry the slaves amongst you and Allah will provide for you if you don't have.
Don't worry about money. Your fears of money are insignificant because Allah provides for you. It doesn't matter. Just put your trust in Allah. Tell you. Anyone else? They use the hadith that the Prophet said. The hadith that we quoted, meaning it's an Islamic command to get married. That comes before any degree in any career. Tell you. Anything else? Now listen, guys, you don't have to agree with this. It doesn't mean that this is your opinion. But I want you guys to critically think on both sides. Everyone understand this? Go ahead. Because your parents want you to. Going back to the culture. And you have to obey your parents. Regardless of your career, what your aspiration is, I want you to get married. Because I want a granddaughter. Or grandson. Or I got married at this age. You're very beautiful. Whatever the issue is. So you have to obey your parents. Next point.
It's best to have kids at a young age.
It's what?
Best to have kids at a young age.
It's best to have children at a young age. How many children can you produce when you're 35? You graduate from school, how many debts do you have? How much stress do you have? You have to be this great scientist or engineer or physicist, etc. What time do you have to raise a family? Whether you're a man or a woman. Your knees hurt, your back hurts, you're tired, you're stressed, you come home late at night. You don't have time for kids to jump on your back, give me a piggyback ride, pick me up, Abby. This is the reality of parenting. It's the reality of parenting. Kids demand attention and energy from you. They don't want to hear, I'm tired or I'm stressed out. They want you to pick them up, swing them around. And what better time would this be except when you're young and lively? Tell you, next point. What other point would they use?
It keeps you focused.
It keeps you focused. You can't succeed if you're not focused. But what would cause you to be or have a lack of focus?
Well, if you were like completely career focused, then you could spend that money on.
But what is the connection between marriage and focus? Is what I'm asking.
Oh, because you're responsible for another individual.
Now you have a responsibility. You have no choice but to do the right thing. Because that's a mouth that you're feeding or taking care of or providing for or whatever the setup is. Right? So it gives you focus. It gives you a purpose. You have to, failure is not a what?
option.
It's not an option. You have to go out and do the right thing and get a job and whatever the case is. Tight. Very good point. Any other points, brothers and sisters? Any other points? There are tons of points that can be brought up.
You have like a physical adherence to fitna.
You have a natural inclination towards sexuality. The human being, let alone living in 2019, in which this is, we're surrounded by it. Cartoons, movies, you go to the gas station, a box of cereal, everything is calling you to think about your desires. Once again, whether the people accept it or whether they live in what? Fantasy land. You understand this? What else is there? That's it, guys. No other points? No other points? Tight. Okay. Let's move forward. Number 1. The first point is bihi yastakmilu al-mar'u nisfa dinihi. No one mentioned this. Is that this is a means of completing half of your religion. This is a means of completing half of your deen. Why are you alive? Why are you breathing? Why are you playing with your lips and scratching your head? Why are you doing this? You're only breathing to worship Allah. That's if you're a Muslim and you believe that. Every single thing else is secondary. Secondary. And is a means of supporting the first thing. Work to make money, seek Allah's rizq to allow you to be a better worshiper. So getting married, you've covered a great amount of what? Of distance, of ground, completing half your deen. Everyone understand this? Point number 2 that they make with regards to why marriage should come first, يَسُنُهُ مِنَ الْوُقُوعِ فِي الْفَوَاحِشِ. As you mentioned, it protects you from falling into something which is blameworthy. And that blameworthy thing could be anything which is Islamically illicit. If it is Islamically prohibited with regards to your sexual desires, getting married is an insurance policy and a shield against that. And there are married people who do illicit things. There are married people who make adultery. However, it's a step towards preventing that. It's a what? A step towards preventing it. No doubt about that. A healthy marriage is a step towards that, right? Just like they say working out, eating good, sleeping good is a means of protecting yourself from heart disease or from cancer, reducing your cholesterol, so on and so forth. You can still get cancer. I know many people who died that were vegans. There were healthy people who worked out and they died of cancer. But eating good, doing this, and I'm not saying that being a vegan is eating good. That's just an example. I'm not saying that. I don't believe that just because you're a vegan, you're absolutely what? Eating good. No, I don't believe that. But making an example of the attitude, if you don't eat meat, you only eat fresh, uncooked vegetables, you'll never get any disease. That's not absolutely true. However, avoiding something which has chemicals and preservatives and dye and all of these things is a step towards general health. We can agree on that. Working out is a step towards that. You're in the right direction, inshallah. Point number 3 that they mentioned, bihi yuhyi al-muslimu as-sunnata an-nabawiyyah al-sharifah, is a means of reviving and resurrecting the prophetic sunnah. And that's the sunnah of getting married. That's the way of Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasallam, that he married. And he encouraged the people to marry. And when people came to him and they didn't have much, he would ask them questions. He says, what? Iltamas walau khatamin min hadith. He says, look for something, even if it's an iron ring. Get married. If that's the only thing that you have to give her as a gift, then give her an iron ring. Something of very little value. Not a silver ring, let alone a gold ring, let alone a diamond ring, an iron ring. Get married. And the hadith it says, Zawajtuka bima ma'aka min al-Quran. The surahs that you know in the Quran, that's her mahar. The Prophet married, he encouraged marriage, and he also allowed marriage. In certain situations and instances which weren't, everything wasn't absolutely perfect and proper, he would what? Be lenient just for the people to what? To get married. And that's a topic and a lecture in itself of reviving the sunnah of the Prophet. Point number 4 that they mentioned, يُعِينُهُ عَلَى الْهَدَفِ وَالتَّرْكِيزِ. As you mentioned, it causes and allows you to focus. You have a goal. I have an objective. I have a target in my sight. I am going to school. I'm working. I'm seeking excellence because I have a wife at home. I'm doing the right thing because I'm a mother and my child is going to be born in 6 months. What can I do for my children if I don't have no knowledge myself? How can I take care of my children if I'm needy myself? So getting married allows you to do what? It allows you to what? Have a purpose and a focus and a goal. Number 5, يُبْعِدُهُ عَنْ جُلَسَاءِ السُّوءِ وَأَصْحَابِ الضَّيَاعِ, is that it takes you far from bad company. And it takes you away from time wasters and people that are just losers. People that sit around, talk, laugh, joke, watch YouTube videos, Facebook, Twitter, that have no real goal in life. When you're married, it may not necessarily take you away from them 100%, but it minimizes them. Because when your friends want to go out somewhere and waste time, laugh and joke, make fun, your wife is calling you. And every 5 seconds you're checking your phone and looking, you're acting like you're talking to them, you get another notification and say, what's wrong? What's the matter? Oh, nothing. Give me a second. Let me go. I got to make a phone call. And it's your wife. Where are you at? Why aren't you home yet? I'm out with Abdullah and them. No, come home. You have a family. I'm waiting for you. You've been out all day. Any brother who's married, he can what? He can relate to this. And the same applies to sisters. Sisters that may be goofy and they giggle and they laugh all day, every day. You're now in a relationship. You have a man that has expectations, wants, needs from you. You have to do what? You have to get yourself together a little bit. So your time, even if you wanted to sit around with time wasters, you can't as much. And what success can you have trying to be a doctor or a player in the NFL and you people that are wasting time? Everyone understand this? And this is one of the greatest killers of education and career, is people that are wasters. And that's the first thing that people say and accuse you of when you become successful. You forgot about your friends. You don't have no time to hang out with us no more. Oh, you're better than us now. Oh, you're a big shot now. You're getting money now. You don't have no time for us. No, I don't. Because you want to get me in the newspapers because you have drugs. Or you have this scandalous relationship. I can't go to practice and I'm tired because I was up all night partying and laughing and joking. Let alone the fact that that's haram. But the mental concept is that you can't go to practice the next day and you were drunk last night. You can't be a successful basketball player like that. You can't be a successful doctor like that. And what you're sitting around people that have no purpose in life. So getting married, it minimizes your dealings with what? Those type of people. The next point that those of this argument they mention, it says يخفف عليه أتباع أو أتعاب وأعباء الدراسة والبحث عن الوظيفة, is that it reduces stress, it reduces worry, and it reduces the heaviness and the burden of education and career. And anyone who graduates from school, he or she knows how hard it is to find a job. It's difficult. You may send in your resume or your CV to 100 people, and only 5 people may call you back. You may only get a response from 2 people. All day long, from morning to night, I was on my feet, place to place, looking around, sending out my application, and only 3 people call me back. That is very stressful. Or at school, I have exams, I have research papers, I have this teacher who's, Allah knows best what they're trying to do and how hard they're trying to make it for me. Oftentimes, marriage, it does what? It lessens that burden. And most people, they break down when it comes to stress. They can't handle it. And that's why we say pressure busts pipes. Most people, they can't take when things become tight. Are we understanding this? Anyone can do a perfect job when everything is good weather. But now you're under stress, and the same applies to sports. And that's what makes a good quarterback to a great quarterback. In the 4th quarter, in overtime, he's not spitting up in the huddle or throwing an interception or fumbling the ball. He's at the best of his game. And the other quarterback crumbles under pressure. So oftentimes when you have a wife and when you have a husband, it reduces the stress and the weight of studying and looking for a job, let alone a career. And that's another point that I want to mention, is that there's a huge difference between career and job. And many people, if not most, they confuse the two. Everyone is not going to have a career in this room. That's just the reality. It's the reality. Everyone is not going to have a career. Many of us, if not most of us, we're going to go to work hating our jobs, hating our bosses, wanting to quit, but I have to pay bills. And there are a few from among us, and I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, I'm just being realistic, that actually look forward to going to work. And it's fun, and they enjoy it, and they love it. And there are only a few from among us who actually have a job, a means of making money, and it's something that they love and enjoy, they're naturally good at, they're skilled, they went to school for, and it is a means of hasanat. And it gets them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you know how many people go to work miserable every morning? Sitting in traffic every morning, on a train every morning, they're miserable. They don't want to work. because there's a difference in a career and a job. So oftentimes people that say career first, but many of us we don't have careers. Sometimes we just have what? Jobs. Everyone understand this? Or you can have a career, but it doesn't mean that it's giving you the necessary money. And the job oftentimes provides more money. And that's why many people drop out of school and why some people drop out of professional sports or college sports. Because I have to pay bills. I have a woman, she has my child, my baby's mother, my child's mother. I don't have time to practice 6 hours. I don't have time to watch the tape for 8 hours. I have to work, I have to feed their mom, I have to feed them. And they don't have the ability to do the same. So career and job are not the same, brothers and sisters. They're two different things. Do not confuse the two. The next point that they mention, they say يبعده عن الديون الربوية والأثقال المالية عند التخرج. Point number 7, or delivery number 7, they say that when you get married first, it takes you far from debts, heavy debts of interest, and financial burdens when you graduate. And it's also something which many people are not too realistic in. They say go to school, get a job, and then you can get married. Right now, son or daughter, you can't get married. Why? Because you don't have enough money. Where are you going to live? What are you going to drive? What are you going to do? How are you going to provide for this woman? How are you going to live with this man? What if he divorces you? What if he leaves you? And then you're stuck with a baby. How are you going to take care of yourself? Okay, you're right. So therefore, I'll go to school. How much money do I owe when I graduate from school? I get a job. How much money does it cost to get a house or rent or even mortgage, whatever you're trying to do? How much money do you have to put down? Your credit score. All of these things, they take into consideration. So oftentimes, getting married after education and career, oftentimes is totally unrealistic. And you're going to live your life as a financial slave with a chain and ball, paying off money, paying off debts, and you may not have the ability to find a good wife or a good husband, let alone live happily ever after. So those are the main points for those who support that argument. Let's move on to those who hold the opposite view. Number 1. Tayyip, before we go on, it's time for the answers from the floor. What will those who say that career and education comes first, what would their proofs and evidences be? What argument would they make? What would they say?
I guess having a career makes it easier for you to make the first important, foundational purchases to set your life off easier.
That it's easier to have the career first with regards to, say it again, please.
Like, if you have a job, you're able to get an apartment or buy a car, things like that.
Common sense. You have a job, or better than that, a career. You went to school, you have the degree, you're hired. Inshallah ta'ala, car, house, all of these things are simple and easy for you. Relatively. We all struggle, we all have debts, but at least you can actually buy the young lady a ring without having to borrow the money. You can pay for the walima. You can have a roof over your head, even if it's a studio apartment. If it's something small and simple and basic, you have a basic car, but it's something, instead of you having nothing. So obviously, that's the first point that they're going to use is money. At least you have some type of source of income and some type of financial responsibility and financial stability. Now, brothers and sisters, please pay close attention, or pay close attention, not play. Pay close attention. Financial stability, financial responsibility does not mean that you have to be wealthy. There are two different concepts as well. And many fathers and mothers, they jumble and mix the two. Being rich, being wealthy, doesn't mean that I have basic income every week. Maybe I'll prevent I get hurt, I break my leg, I break my knee, so on and so forth. A freak accident can happen to anyone. But for most of the time, I'm healthy, I'm working, and there's money coming in. I have a few talents, I have some skills. Inshallah, we're not going to starve. Everyone understand this? It doesn't mean that a person has to be wealthy and have a great amount of money to commence the search for marriage. Right. What's the next point that some people mention? Knowledge of the religion. Very good point. Before we even go to secular knowledge, what do you want to teach this spouse of yours? Whether it's a brother teaching a sister or a sister teaching a brother. What do you want to teach your children? You don't know how to pray. You don't know how to pay zakat. What do you want to do with the money that you're earning from this big fat degree that you have? How do you avoid the haram things and protect your soul if you haven't taken out the time to learn the basics? And hypothetically speaking, it's easier to seek knowledge when you're single than married. There is no one calling your phone and texting you and WhatsApping you. Where are you at? What time are you coming home? Bring me some strawberry shortcake. I'm waiting for you. Come home. I'm in the masjid. I'm studying. Everyone understand this? In which you have no responsibilities with regards to your significant other. Tight. Next point. Point number 3.
Let you set yourself up for actual advancement in your career before you're distracted by a family.
Set yourself up for advancement in your career before you're distracted by your family. Similar to the first point, you have some type of stability, or you may be even wealthy. Why not make it even more concrete? Make it even more concrete. So when you have children and you're busy, so on and so forth, there's something that you can do for your wife, for your husband, etc. Tayyib. Next point, point number 4.
You're more responsible.
You're more responsible, such as
You've gone through your education, so you know how
that you're not laughing and joking anymore in college, but you're actually working. You have to get up early in the morning. You have to come home late at night. You understand the value of $1, what it means to save money, invest money, responsibility. I want to buy myself this new pair of shoes, this new watch, this new jacket, but I have a family. So hypothetically speaking, if you're responsible, you're automatically a better husband or a better wife because you have life experience. And it's one of the things that most young people lack. If I ask you a question, what's the craziest thing or the realest thing that happened to you in your life? What's the most scary thing that happened to you in your life? Some people say, I lost my phone. This is reality. I lost my phone. Or I lost the game playing video game. What's the realest thing that happened to you in your life? What's the biggest piece of life experience you have? Most of us will say something what? Very idiotic. Type. Point number 5. Are there any other points or proofs that they will use? Of those who say that career and education comes before marriage? That's all the points, guys?
You're fully mature at that age.
You're more mature. What type of husband can you be if you are immature, laughing and joking, so on and so forth? Right. All right. Next point.
You can push off marriage, but you can't push off your career. Or
You can hold off on marriage, but you can't hold off on your career. Explain.
Like you can, if you push off marriage, you'll still be able to get married later. But if you don't like jump now on,
If you don't jump through the window of opportunity, it will vanish. Tight. Okay. Any other points, guys? No other points. No other points. That's it. Khairan inshallah. All right. Let's move forward now. The first point that I've mentioned here, it says, Bihi yurdil insanu walidayhi. Is that a person will please his parents. And that's because many parents, not all, but I would say many, if not most, they want their son or daughter to have the degree and or the job first. They want to have the degree what? They want to have the what? The degree first. Most parents. Can we agree on this or not? Most parents. Right. Point number 2 that I wrote down. به يقدر على القيام بمؤنة النكاح ومسؤولية الزواج. Similar to what you mentioned, is that when you're working, you have a career, you have some type of financial income to provide, so on and so forth. Those are the only 2 main arguments that I wrote down for that side. Now, let's move on to the counter argument now. How is the second group going to counter the first, or the first group going to counter the first group? So what were the points mentioned by the first group? Quickly, off the top of your heads.
Half your deed.
Half your deed. Sunnah.
protects from fahisha.
Protects you from fahisha.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Reduces stress.
Reduces stress.
Protects from bad company.
Keeps you far from bad company and losers.
Keeps you away from debt.
Keeps you away from debt. How would they counter those points now? Number 1, it's completing half of your deen.
It
Quickly.
doesn't matter when you do it.
It doesn't matter when you do it. Very good answer. Whether you agree with it or not. Very good answer. It doesn't matter what.
When you do it.
The hadith doesn't say complete half your deen now or 10 years later, but getting married is what? Half your deen. Very good answer. What else would they say? Reviving the sunnah.
There's a lot of other sunnahs you can revive.
There are many other sunnahs that you don't do, such as the sunnah of what? Being clean, respecting your parents, the sunnah of praying. Some people don't pray. All the billah. Huh? You just want to get married for other reasons. Like, what else could they use to counter that argument? Quickly, guys.
Or protect from fahisha, you can say you can fast.
You can fast. If you can't get married, then do what? Then fast. Tayyip. What other points?
Allow one to focus. You can, just buckle down and study more.
If you need to focus with books. Make your career, or make the excellence in academia, make that be what? Make that be your focus. What other points could they use?
make better financial decisions instead of going to that?
Make better financial decisions. Go to a lesser college or a less prestigious or fancy big name college, which provides the same, if not a better education.
Find a hobby to reduce stress.
Find a hobby to reduce stress, such as
Playing sports.
playing sports. Tayyib, okay? Very good answer. What other points?
Taking away from that would just be getting a job.
Get a job to pay off the debt. Tayyib.
If you're hanging out with bad company, chances are you marry bad company.
If you're hanging out with bad people, chances are you'll marry a spouse who's also a person that isn't too good for you. Very good answers. Now, let's reverse it. What arguments can be used against those who take the opposite view? Quickly. I want everyone to participate, please. Inshallah. Anybody else? No new participants. Fadal akhi.
About the point that they said, like you would be more financially stable. You would just say like you don't have to be extremely rich to get married. You could, even if you can just give her
Simplicity.
Simplicity, yeah.
However, that takes us to another concept, and that is, what type of Islam are you practicing? What is your definition of comfort? What's your definition of stable? What's your definition of food and drink? What's your definition of nikah and walima? At a huge grand ballroom or some masjid? And that's another discussion with regards to how the Muslims look at extravagance and wasting money and showing off and the custom of the people. Tayyib. Next point, quickly. Any other points? That's it, guys? Nothing else? Instead of your spouse or your family making you focus, it can be the exact opposite. And that's a distraction. Getting married takes you away from school, takes you away from work. Daydreaming, arguing, fighting. You may have a spouse that doesn't respect your career or doesn't respect your education. Give me all of your time. I demand all of your time. Give me all of your attention. You may have a spouse who's a spendthrift, man or woman. They spend all of the money that you make on silly things. Very good answer. Sorry, what else? Any other points?
I'm pleasing your parents or for the career, basically. They're not going to have to live with the consequences of the decision later.
I can please my parents anytime as well. Just like I can get married later, I can also get the degree later. Let alone the fact that pleasing your parents is not absolute. And that's why I mentioned what I mentioned. It isn't what? Absolute. If your parents tell you to do something which is wrong against Islam or common sense, there's no obedience in that. Everyone understand this? So, bidnai ta'ala, from looking at both sides and looking in the middle and the counter arguments, you can see that the most thorough opinion, and Allah knows best, is that it depends on the person, the time, and the place. Some people must get married first. Some people must finish their degrees or get a career first. You have to provide for your mother, your father. Your mother is sick, your father is injured, whatever the case may be. Allahu A'lam of your situation. Everyone understand this? So that's the winning side. Is that every situation is what? Different. However, the default is that marriage is supposed to what? Come first. Everyone understand this? That's the default, is that marriage comes first. And everything else is secondary. But that is not the absolute rule. It depends on how old you are, what your aspirations are, how focused you are, how much self-control you have, where you live, what are you doing, so on and so forth. Everyone clear on this? So therefore, this is the end of our brief discussion of the topic. Of course, we can mention other things, and I would love to hear more from you. But bidnai ta'ala, what we've mentioned is sufficient, inshallah. Hopefully, we can leave some time for some questions, if there are any questions, or if we have time for questions from the brothers and the sisters on or off the topic. Thank you very much for your participation, for your respect, and for your attentive listening.